Hello everyone, and let's talk about the Resident Evil 3 remake. Or remake is the wrong word, I have to say, for this game. It's more of a reimagining than a remake. If we compare it to the Resident Evil 2 remake, which came out last year, that was more faithful to the original Resident Evil 2. I mean, a lot of the areas, a lot of the encounters, uh, and again, the design of the game was very faithful to Resident Evil 2. Obviously, they changed the perspective to an over-the-shoulder camera rather than the fixed camera angles and tank controls. So they made improvements to it. But they've remained faithful to the original Resident Evil 2, at least. This Resident Evil 3 is more of a complete reimagining. There are areas which are similar, and events are broadly similar to Resident Evil 3 original, but there's a lot of there is a lot of new areas in the game, and there's a lot of areas that just don't tie in with the original. I mean, you could play through Resident Evil 2 original and Resident Evil 2 remake, and you go, oh look, that was in there, that was in the original, that was in the original. They have made changes to the basic structure of the game. One of the other changes that they've made is just the lack of puzzles in the game in general. There's only two in the entire game, really. There's the one that the subway. There is the one where you have to make the vaccine. Both of the subway one wasn't in the original, but the vaccine one was in the original Resident Evil 3. But that's it. There's only two puzzles in the entire game, which is disappointing. Resident Evil 2 had a lot more puzzles in the game, had a lot more things like that. I mean, Resident Evil 3 was always meant to be more action based than Resident Evil 2. But they did maintain the sort of survival horror elements like puzzles that were there. So that was a bit of a disappointment there. Nemesis has changed as well. Mostly most of the encounters are scripted encounters with Nemesis, I should say. I know a lot of people complained about Mr. X in Resident Evil 2, how he was just like a stalker enemy who would just show up. He could show up literally anywhere. I think he would respond if you sort of ran about. He could follow your footsteps and follow your gunshots. I think was the scripting for that. But yeah, Nemesis does show up most of the time at predetermined points. You can take him on, or you can run away from Nemesis. In my view, it's always best to take him on, especially if you got grenades or a grenade launcher. Because he does drop, he drops weapon upgrades most of the time, and he did that in the original. You got the Eagle 6 handgun if you took him down. You got the parts for it, so if you took him down twice, and he would always drop things like weapon upgrades for you. So for the pistol that you start with in the game, he drops weapon upgrades. You get the scope from the safe, which is the same as the demo. But it'll drop like extended magazines, and there's a barrel upgrade that makes it do more damage. So it is always worth taking him on because you get free ammo from the extended mag. Essentially, it holds 33 rounds instead of 16 rounds. Yeah, and you also get various enemies that return, like the Hunter Gammas, or the Frog Hunters as they're known. They make a return, quite interesting. You fight them mostly in the sewers. The park section of the game is gone. That's where you fought them in the original Resident Evil 3. Also, the clock tower section has been removed. You do go to the clock tower courtyard, and you have a boss fight with Nemesis there. But yeah, that's gone from the game. I mean, I finished the game. I did one playthrough. Got a rank C on standard difficulty. It took me 4 hours to beat the game, which is, twice as long as it probably should have took. But, you got to explore the game on your first playthrough. Your first playthrough is always terrible. You do unlock the shop afterwards. There's no mercenaries mode in the game. The multiplayer mode is Resident Evil Resistance, which I haven't installed or haven't played yet. I've just been playing the single player, so no impressions on that one just yet. But yeah, it's the shop does get unlocked. There is challenges in the game that you get, like collect all the weapons, kill 100 zombies. It's fairly straightforward, and you can unlock things. You can get the rocket launcher with infinite ammo. You can't get all weapons with infinite ammo. The shop was in the original, but it was in the mercenaries mode. You had to play mercenaries, complete that little mode. It was like a timed mode that you got. It was very different from Resident Evil 4 and 5's mercenaries, which was like an arena, where you got a time limit to kill as many enemies within the time limit, and you'd get a score. This one you had a bomb implanted to you in the original Resident Evil 3, and you had to get from the cable car to the starting point, which was the warehouse, I believe. The guy from the warehouse is there as well. In the remake as well, you get a little brief encounter with him. So there's little tidbits and tributes to them. So you got a time limit in the original Mercenaries to get from the subway car to the beginning of the game, and of course you've got to go through all the zombie infested streets, and you get like time bonuses as well for you get combos and things like that for killing things. You played as the Umbrella Mercenaries, that's why it's called the Mercenaries mode, but it would have been nice to have seen that in the game. So they've moved the challenges over to the main game. Which it's okay. I mean, you get like you want to do multiple playthroughs anyway, because if you finish the game on professional difficulty, you then unlock further difficulties to play through, and getting items from the shop. There's things like an assault coin, which is quite good. You can get 2 of them. They do take up inventory space, which is a bit of an issue. Assault coin, there's a recovery coin, and the defense coins. Recovery coins let you recover health at a rate, so you get regenerating health. I don't know because I've never tried them. You can equip 2 of them and they stack. Assault coin is the one to go for though, because it increases the amount of damage that you do. And don't buy the infinite ammo pistol, it's kind of useless. It's just so inaccurate and does so little damage that it's not worth it. Get the Samurai Edge. The Samurai Edge is well worth buying. That's the Stars gun. Again, was in the original. I think you started with it, did you know, the Samurai Edge? But yeah, that's the Stars gun. It does more damage and has higher chance of critical hits. So it's not infinite ammo, but the amount of ammo that you use a lot less ammo, obviously, because it takes less hits to kill things. So it is the better of the 2 guns, I would say. The infinite gun, I bought that first and kind of regretted it. It just takes way too many hits to kill things. You only get 16 rounds in it, and you're always sort of reloading, so fighting multiple enemies with that is annoying. But you can get the assault rifle with infinite ammo. You can also start the game with the lockpick, which is quite handy, and start the game with the bolt cutters, which again is a time saver, because you don't have to go and grab the bolt cutters, which lets you get the shotgun earlier in the game. So they're my tips that are worth buying. You can get inventory pouches, the pouches that increase your inventory management, the RPD inventory, what do they call it? I just call them pouches that increase the inventory capacity. I don't know exactly. You can get 2 of them as well, which is handy, especially if you're buying the assault. The assault coin is the one to go for, really, rather than the recovery coin. Try not to get hit, basically. That's the best way to do it. But your encounters with Nemesis, again, they are mostly just scripted. The boss fights are kind of interesting. You have to master the dodge mechanic, as not getting hit is the key, really. The dodge can be a bit annoying because of the perspective that you have in the game. The over-the-shoulder camera perspective can narrow your field of view down a bit. There is an FOV slider in the PC version that you can adjust, but you can never seem to see anything. You can never seem to see what you need to see because the character takes up so much of the screen. The footage that you're looking at is from my second playthrough. We're just playing as Jill's. You get Jill's original outfit, which was a pre-order bonus. You can get her Stars outfit from the original Resident Evil. That's another costume unlock. The boutique isn't in the game either, where you could have like Biker Jill, or you could play as Regina from Dino Crisis. That would have been nice to have had in the game. Maybe they'll get added as DLC later on, but when you finish the game, you got the boutique key, and you could go in and change costume. Yeah, so overall, the game is it's still a pretty good game. It's more of a reminder for me. It reminds me of Resident Evil 5 more than the original Resident Evil 3. because Resident Evil 5 had very few puzzles and it was more action oriented. The weapon upgrades, the upgrade system that you buy is kind of more reminiscent of RE5 than RE3 original. That's my opinion. It's not a bad game though. In the end, the atmosphere is still pretty good. Nemesis is still as intimidating as ever, although I feel he's less iconic than the original Resident Evil 3. His stars line is kind of muted and you can barely hear it. I liked his little stars one line that he had in the game. It was pretty damn good. He doesn't kill Brad either. You get Zombie Brad as well. Zombie Brad's in the game. Zombie Brad was in the original Resident Evil 2, and that's where you got the costume key for when you completed the game. You unlocked Zombie Brad. But he's in Resident Evil 3 Remake this time. But anyway, that is all for this video, so thank you for joining me, and we're moving on to the Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's even less like the original because the combat's completely different. So we'll have a look at that and check that out for you. Anyway, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon, and goodbye.